Everyone, and welcome to the Healing Mastery Summit. I'm Ian Hart, and we are here with Udo Erasmus. And Udo, if you guys don't know who he is, he's the original creator of Udo's Oil, which is in Whole Foods. It's in pretty much all health food stores across the nation. And he first pioneered flax oil. And you also invented the machinery that makes the oils, enzymes, probiotics. And you're an acclaimed author, speaker. You've spoken on over 5,000, places, whether it's on the internet, in person, on the TV. You've been in media interviews about 3,000 times. So We're dealing with somebody that has extensive knowledge and background in health and healing. You've even a teacher at the Tony Robbins events, Deepak Chopra's keynote and international brain health conference, and lecture and conferences on 5 continents. So you have extensive education in biochemistry, genetics, biology, nutrition, as well as a master's degree in counseling and psychology. So your latest focus is on sustainable energy and water management, which I love, as well as healthcare based in nature and human nature. Awesome. That's what we're going to get into. And the thirst of the heart resulting in total health. You have an 8-step transformational program to total sexy health. And so I could continue going on with the bio, but as everyone
I could just listen. It's just very interesting.
As everyone can see, he's got an extensive background, and we're going to get into as much of it as we can in this period of time. But welcome and thank you for joining us, Udo.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, we were just speaking about your background, and I'd love for you just to share on that. Basically, you went into a year of medicine, correct? And what did you find there? Just give that background.
Okay, let me back up from that a little bit. I came out of the Second World War. I was born in Poland when it was part of Germany, and we were refugees. I was a refugee before I was 3 years old, and we were fleeing from the communists chasing us in tanks and trucks, and the Allies were shooting at us from planes on the roads we were fleeing on. Wow. And they knew we were refugees.
Wow.
And so my mother eventually...
Do you actually have memory of this? Like, is it...
I have more emotion than memory, like not pictures. My sister, who was 3 years older than me, remembers dead horses and dead soldiers, or dead people in the ditches. Yeah. And I just remember the fear, like anxiety, fear, nervousness, hunger. I remember a little bit, and confusion. Yeah. Everybody was confused. And my mother eventually got off the road and walked with 2 kids. She had 6 kids with her. Wow. They were all under 6. And she went through the fields because it was safer than being on the roads. Wow. And she made it out. I got left behind. We eventually got reunited, but it was pretty hectic. Wow. And so I felt like there wasn't much I could trust and much I could depend on. So my thing was I was always trying to find out how things work, because that's how you know what you can depend on, right?
Yes.
Does it work? And I was always experimenting with stuff. So I got into science to understand how things work, then into bioscience, how creatures work. Yeah. Then into psychology, how thinking works. Then I took a year of medicine, because they called it healthcare. They still call it healthcare. Yeah. But it's actually disease management. And I thought I was going to learn about health, because I was naive. I grew up on a farm without electricity for part of my childhood. So, and we didn't have radio or newspaper or television. So I thought healthcare means we're dealing with health. Right? Yeah. That's what the words mean.
Of course.
And so I went into medicine, and within 3 months, I realized we're only learning about disease here. So I went to the dean and I said, I came here because I wanted to learn what health is. What is health? He said, we don't know. We're working on it. And that was probably the most disappointing answer I've ever heard in my life.
Wow.
And then we were told that a doctor should always sound as though he knows what's going on, even when he doesn't. And that killed my medical career, because I was not going to spend my life lying to people.
Yes.
So then by that time I realized, you actually learn more about health in biology than you learn in medicine, because in biology you're studying creatures that are working, that are healthy, that are normal.
You're studying nature.
Yeah.
Right.
But you're not studying sick creatures. You're just studying healthy creatures, basically.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas medicine is not actually looking for health. They're always studying disease. Well, this is stupid, because how long do I need to look at cancer before I know what health is?
Yep.
Doesn't make any sense. How long do I look at darkness before I know what light is?
Right.
If you want to know what light is, you got to look into the light. If you want to know what health is, you got to look into health. So you're back to biology.
Yes.
Right. That's what biology is. And
Right.
so I had realized that, and then I ended up in biochemistry genetics, and then left because there was still something missing in my life. And if I can't find it at university, then I'll have to look elsewhere. So that's kind of like the journey I took in.
Wow.
Amazing
background, really, because I mean, the generation that's coming up now in the US, I don't even think can fathom or understand what you've been through, and the knowledge and experience that you have gained through a process of where you've come from and where you're at.
Right. Right. It's true, because you can't, if you don't have an experience of something, you really don't know what it is.
Yes.
And when we were kids, when we were in the 60s, when running around and horsing around, and people would talk, let's go start a war somewhere. And I'd get really mad. And I'd say, that's not funny. And I said, why are you so heavy? I said, because I've been through one. Yeah. This is not funny. This is not a joke. Being cavalier about killing people is not cool. Yeah. It's stupid. Yep. It's ignorant. Yeah. And so I used to get really mad. I'm a little mellower now, but maybe not that mellow.
Well, speaking about healing, is those traumatic imprints of emotions were put on you because of what war brings to people. Of course. And so you've felt that, you really felt that in you. So when someone talks about it, it's offensive. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And in a way you can't blame them, because they don't know, because it's just stuff people talk about. Right. It's like people horse around, people joke about it. Right. Yep. Oh, let's start a riot. Somebody said one day to me, oh, let's go start a riot. And they went and started a riot. When they came back, they were totally freaked out. Because of what the consequence was. Oh my God, we started a riot. And and I didn't go, because I knew better, right? Yeah. So I said, well, what did you expect? You said you were going out to start a riot. What do you think's going to happen? Yes. Oh yeah. Oh shit. And that's the power of manifestation, right? That's the power. Speak. That's the power of how you feel, how you think, then how you talk, and then how you act. Right. Because that's a connection. So when people say watching violence on TV doesn't cause violence, bullshit. Yes. Bullshit, because it is a succession. Yep. So how you think ends up with how you act, and how you act has consequences. 100%. We're being programmed. Yeah, yeah. So what I was looking for in school, basically, I was looking to find my peace, because I had a head full of war memories, and I didn't trust much, and I didn't know what I could depend on. This seemed pretty chaotic. And it turns out, speaking, because we're talking about healing, whenever someone is sick, and whenever one is mentally ill, there's something in them, in every human being, that is part of our nature, that was not affected by any drama and any trauma they've ever been through. And you want to heal, find that place. That means you have to go deep inside. Great point. And so how do we go deep? Fundamentally, you have to spend time voluntarily by yourself, with all your distractions cut off, and sit with yourself. Because how are you going to discover the beauty of your own existence, or the solution to all your issues that exists within you, if you don't take the time for it? Right. Because if you're not taking the time to sit still, then you're racing around doing this and thinking that and talking that and checking out that, but it's all on the outside. Yep. Where the solution is all on the inside. Yeah. Right. People's life run by. And then if you say, well, yeah, okay, but so now I sit by myself, where do I start? I would say start with heartache.
or start with what I call the thirst of the heart, what some people call the thirst of the heart. Start with heartache, because there's something in you when you sit still that is restless or feels empty or feels blue, especially when somebody dumped you,
Yes.
right? In a relationship, or something is just not right. And you feel it here. You can see my hand, right?
Yep.
You feel it here. And that, we don't know what that is, but I'll tell you what it is. It is your heart calling your attention to come back home to life. And we got disconnected through our senses in getting to know the world when we were children. And with that disconnection from ourselves came that ache. So now we look for distractions everywhere.
Yes.
And whenever a distraction ends, we're thrown back to, we think it's the blues because she dumped me.
Right.
But it's actually not. It's that she was a distraction. I was hoping she would fulfill me.
Right.
That's already a mistake in relationship, right?
Yep.
Because I'm not fulfilled.
Yes.
And then when she dumps me, or that is over, or she moves away, or something happens, and I lose my distraction, I fall back to my original pain of my original disconnection from myself.
Yes.
Because when I'm connected, then honestly, I can be with someone and I can love that person. And if that person wants to go away, I will wish her well.
Yes.
And I won't be there crying, oh, what's wrong with me? Why did you? Do you know what I mean?
Yep. You'll maybe even thank them for the time and the experiences, right?
Right. Yeah. And for freeing up my space. Right.
Yep.
So, but then that sounds like, well, what kind of a relationship is that going to be? What kind of relationship you're going to have? Well, you're going to have one where you can play and you can dance and you can have fun.
Yeah.
If neither she depends on me for her fulfillment and I don't depend on her for my fulfillment.
Right.
Because both of us are fulfilled. Or if I don't depend on her for my love and she doesn't depend on me. Because if neither of us can get to the love, that is our most basic nature, well, where is it supposed to come from in the relationship?
Yes.
So getting that connection and being independent, not independent from away from everybody, but dependent on what's within me.
Yep.
That's what I got. That's my treasure. That's my talent. That's my uniqueness. That's what I have.
Yeah.
And that's the homework before the relationship.
And that's why they have things like Codependence Anonymous, correct? Where people learn what you're talking about because they have been codependent on somebody else or something else, or like distracted by something their whole life. But they're fill that void.
Right. And the drive to feel whole or content or in peace or whatever you call that drive is the strongest drive in a human being. That's behind all of the things we do, crazy and not crazy.
Right.
Because we're trying to get ourselves taken care of or feel taken care of. Yep. But if you bring your awareness back in touch with life is taking perfect care of your body every moment of every day through all your dramas and all your traumas, and is not affected by any of those.
Right.
And imagine the power of being able to be in touch with that at will. That's the goal.
Amazing.
And then it's like anything is possible.
That's beautifully put. And that's what you're talking about. Is we call this the Healing Mastery Summit because that's what connects with people. But really, if we wanted to be clear about it, it would be the Wholeness or the Harmonic Mastery Summit, because we're really bringing people back to this point, which you call wholeness, correct?
Right. And I'm making the assumption that the Healing Summit is about healing and becoming whole. Because when you're healed, you become whole. Exactly. And that's why I went there immediately. Right? Perfect. Instead of running around and say, oh, let's take a pill of this and do this and do that. The point is, the wholeness already exists within us, and it's not affected. And it's in terms of awareness and in terms of life energy. And when you become aware of those two, and then the third one that goes with it is inspiration. when you become aware of those three, there isn't much there isn't much that can go wrong anymore. And your body will still get old, and one day your body will still check out. But it'll be a comfortable situation, not oh my God.
No drama.
If you're always focused on your body, and the body is always subject to damage, right?
Yep.
I say every body gets crucified one way or another, sooner or later.
Yes.
Right? That's the nature of it. But something survives that. And when you're in what survives it, then you kind of lose your fascination with your aches and pains. Then it's like, and then you still deal with what you got to deal with. You still got to eat every day and go to the bathroom every day. And, but if you make being present in your wholeness also part of your routine, just like eating breakfast and just like going to the bathroom.
Right.
And what we're right now doing, everything but.
Yep.
It's like, well, how can you live a whole life if you don't take any time to experience the fact that you're whole to begin with? Right?
I agree completely. So since there's more and more distractions, you think that is a part of the rise of disease?
No.
What do you think is the reason behind?
See, and I'll tell you why I say no, and then after that I'll say yes.
Okay.
The reason why it's not different, you don't need a million distractions to get disconnected from yourself. You only need one distraction.
Yes.
So if you're a monk in a monastery, you just need a woman to walk by the monastery.
Right.
And you got nothing going on, right? Other than you eat and you sleep and you do routines and you do your chants and you do all of that stuff. So you can be in a completely, because the thing is, your senses will always take you away from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be a leaf flapping in the breeze that'll do it.
Right.
So you only need one distraction to get disconnected. If you have 1,000, you've got more choices.
Right.
So, but you're still just going to be, because you can only be distracted or not distracted.
Right.
Right. So if you have 1 million, so it's not more difficult. It's not more difficult now than it ever was. In fact, we have a history of a couple of 100,000 years of human beings on the planet living in distraction the whole time.
Yeah. So
rarely finding someone who finds their way back, and then they became the teachers.
Right.
They became the teachers, like the masters.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm saying is, what we need to do is master what the master mastered, instead of just following them around and continuing to be just as stupid as we were before we met them.
Right.
Right.
Because we all have access to this.
Yeah, because they talked about human nature.
Yeah.
They were teachers of human nature. And
right.
why were they so amazing? Simply because they were fully present in all of their being and their surroundings, and not lost in thoughts in their head. Yeah. We mostly live asleep to our surroundings. When you start thinking, you go blind.
Yep.
And you go deaf.
Yes.
I don't know if you've noticed. I certainly noticed.
No, I mean, I've heard it said that PhDs cause brain damage because
PhDs.
Yeah. Because
you force yourself into your own head more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's hard to think your way out of it.
Yeah, and you can't think your way out of it. You actually have to move your awareness away from it.
Right.
But the thoughts are all just in your cortex.
Yes.
So if you're mentally ill, like let's say you're mentally ill, right?
Right.
So your mental illness has maybe has some physical outcomes. But if it originates in your thinking is restricted to the surface of your brain.
Right.
So you want to be not mentally ill, put your awareness into your butt sitting on the chair, or your foot touching the ground,
yes.
or your knee and the shape and how it's bent, or to the clouds outside the window when you're flying, right? Anything, all you have to do is move your awareness from your cortex
to somewhere else.
And your mental illness, and then you are not mentally ill. Now, you may still have some thought patterns that you might want to change, or some habits that you might change, and you do that separately. Right. But at least you got to begin by feeling whole. Because
Right.
when you feel whole, then you can work towards it.
Yes.
And in fact, by feeling whole, that will already begin to change some of your ideas
Yeah.
that are not working.
So what are the, so as we've seen, first off, the death rate continues to, our people are younger, they're dying younger. There's been a trend now
Yes.
for the first couple of years. Suicide rates are higher, addiction rates are higher. We're seeing disease climb. What is your belief behind all of this? Like, why is this occurring? Do you have an opinion on that?
Sure. Once you're disconnected from your wholeness, everything gets worse.
Okay.
It's not complicated, right?
Yeah.
When you're off, it's like you're on in one. You to be on, you need to be in one place, which is fully present in your being.
Yeah.
Once you're off, you'll be off in 1,000 directions, because you can go in this direction, that direction, that direction, this direction, that direction. So there's 1,000 ways to get it wrong and one way to get it right.
Right.
And bringing your awareness back home is the one way to get it right. If you're not doing that, then, if you're a thinker, mental illness is more likely. If you're physically weak, because we all have different strength by nature,
yeah,
then you'll get physical symptoms. If you're off being fully present, you're not going to feel that good.
Right.
When you don't feel that good, everything's too much work. Then you don't look after yourself. You don't look after your thinking. You don't look after your property. You don't look after your car. You don't look after your eating.
Right.
You don't look after your hygiene, and out of that then come all of the problems. But there's really, in that sense, it's really only one on and then one off that has 1,000 manifestations.
Yeah. So now I know you talk about basically modern society and their approach to finding happiness now, as well as how people are blocking their own joy.
Okay.
So is this directly connected with what you're speaking about? It's like people are distracted and they're blocking their own joy. And
let me make it more specific. So when I'm fully present in my being, I'm in peace, I'm content, I feel good, I have joy for no reason. It's built into you.
Yeah.
Right? Because whenever you get to joy, where do you feel the joy? Well, you always feel it inside, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where it lives.
Yep.
But what we mostly do is say, well, I will feel joy or I'll be happy if everybody loves me. So you just put a condition on your happiness that will never be met.
Yes.
So you're never going to be happy.
Yep.
So there's conditional happiness and there's unconditional happiness.
Yeah.
Well, why not just cut through all the BS and go to the unconditional happiness and be happy no matter what happens?
Right.
Because you can. Because happiness lives within you.
Right.
And happiness does not become unhappiness.
Yeah.
You have to shift inside of yourself to go to unhappiness.
Yeah. So acceptance is part of that, correct?
Yes, but in this case, acceptance of self by self-presence. Acceptance, because you can't accept what you're not aware of.
Right.
So you have to become aware of it, and it's not hard to accept that life is beautiful when you feel it.
Yeah.
Because it's direct. You're not learning that life is beautiful. You're feeling that life is beautiful simply because you're present in it.
Yeah.
Right.
But
what we tend to do is we put conditions on our happiness or our peace. There will be peace when you do it my way.
Yeah.
There's never going to be peace.
Right.
That way. But the truth is, peace is it's the foundation of human beingness. So the peace people search for in the world, they've already got. They're looking in every place except the one place where they can find it, which is within themselves. Right?
Yes. I completely get it.
Yeah. And when I don't cultivate peace, now this is a good one for me because I came out of the war, right?
Yeah.
So I've thought about this a lot. So when I'm not cultivating peace that is in the core of my being, deliberately, because my senses always take me out and away from it, deliberately in times when I can, then I will drift towards war of one kind of another. And that's exactly, if you look at the world, that's exactly what we're doing. We're not doing our homework to peace because we think peace should just sort of find us and drift down on us.
Right.
And then we work our butts off to create missiles and bombs and guns and planes to fly them and disciplines on the outside so that we can kick people's asses.
Yes.
And it's like, well, wait a minute. And then what we do is we do all this effort for war, and then we say, oh, God, bring me peace. So what this means is says, I'm not going to do anything, God, bring me peace.
Yep.
So I want to do nothing for peace, and I'm going to do everything for war. That's completely backwards.
Yes.
We should work our asses off for peace. And then we should say, oh, God, if you want a war, you bring it. But I'm not going to lift a finger to make a war happen.
That's
right.
Amazing.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And
so,
yeah, that makes total sense. And people aren't spending the time on creating peace.
Yeah. But you don't even have to create it.
It's there.
Because it's already part of your nature. You have to rediscover it. You have to reconnect to it.
Yep.
You have to sit still, in the ache that's calling you to go to your peace.
Yep.
And even the call for it is already built into you. But you think it's about the girlfriend, or you think it's about the money, or you think it's about the success, because you live in a world where that's what in a world where people are disconnected and don't know what the meaning is of their own experience.
Yeah.
You know what you know what to do when you're horny, and you know what to do when your bladder is full, and you know what to do when you're hungry. But when your heart aches, you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's how crazy we are.
I've been in a place that you talk specifically about. When I was younger, I was disconnected. I disconnected from early on. I believe that disconnection happens as soon as some of these boys are circumcised, and I was circumcised, and some of that pain.
Okay. Yeah. Can I interrupt you? Can I interrupt you? Okay. Yeah. It's not the pain. It's not the trauma that disconnects you.
Okay.
The disconnection is automatic. The moment, like when you're in mother's body, I call it the Buddha tank, right?
Okay.
In your mother's body, there's nothing to do. There's nowhere to go. It's safe and everything's taken care of.
Right.
So what do you think you're doing in there? You're floating around. You're floating around. You're hanging out, and your awareness, which has no place to go, is at rest inside in its source in life.
Yep.
That's why the Buddha tank. So you spent 9 months as a Buddha you were a normal term baby, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, then you came out, and now it's not taken care of anymore. Yeah. Mom is there and all of that, but now you got to cry when you need a diaper change. You didn't need to do that in the womb.
Yep.
When you need to sleep, when you need to eat, and so then what happens is your awareness goes from being present inside but absent outside. Yeah. Now through your sense it goes out into the world, that you have to get to know the world.
Right.
And in that process, you get disconnected inside. Now your awareness is outside, not inside. That's an automatic process, and it does not require a circumcision.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But I do think what happens is there are certain traumas that kids experience where all of a sudden they realize the world is not okay.
Yeah.
Or they're not okay, or something is not okay.
Right.
And so often they think the reason how they got disconnected was through a trauma, but it's not true.
Okay.
How they discovered that they got disconnected was through a trauma, but the disconnection happens without the trauma anyway. It is just a normal part of the human journey. Trees don't
disconnect and then come back.
Yeah, and then the issue is your disconnection is automatic through your senses. Your reconnection has to be deliberate, because we are the only creature on the planet that can get disconnected and then go in their head. Because a dog will go out into the world in its awareness and do what it needs to do, and then go back to itself, because it hasn't got a mind where it can have a second fake life. And a tree doesn't even get disconnected at all. They're all Buddhas. Every tree is a Buddha. right?
They're in the present moment.
Totally. And they're just hanging out, and their awareness it might radiate, maybe, if you're sensitive to energies.
Yeah.
But it's just hanging out. Right. And everything is going automatic, just like most things in us are automatic.
Right.
And it's just hanging out. But its awareness doesn't move around. We are the creature that is best of moving awareness, focusing awareness wherever we want to focus it. And we literally can focus it anywhere. And that's where our freedom is. The freedom we have, and the choice that we have. We're not free to fly. So we're really not free.
Right.
We don't really have freedom in terms of can do what I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want.
Right.
That's not freedom. That's not freedom anyway, because freedom is a feeling, but that's a whole other story, right?
Yeah.
But we're the only creature that can move awareness from here to here and here to here to here to here and define our reality by where our focus goes. Right? Because if you look at molecules long enough, you become knowledgeable in molecules.
Right.
If you check out women every day for 8 hours a day,
right,
you're gonna learn a lot about at least the externals of women, right?
Right.
How they behave and how they smile and the way they walk and whatever it is you're doing. So you become an expert on it. If you chop a lot of wood, you become an expert wood chopper.
Yeah.
Right. If you cut down trees and you learn how to cut them down so they don't fall on your head when they fall down, you become, then you become an expert in that aspect of it. If you do gardening, you become an expert in gardening.
Right.
If you look at if you memorize all the names of all the plants and animals that you can, then you become a taxonomist.
Yeah.
Right. And it's all based on where do you put your awareness? Where do you put the focus of your awareness? The awareness you have, but you decide where the focus goes.
Yeah.
And most people have not decided to focus their awareness in their own being.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what the masters recommended as the first thing for us to do.
They're letting other people determine where their awareness should be, or they're letting people control their awareness.
Right. Because if I'm not living present with my awareness focused inside, then my awareness is focused outside, and then I'm living in reaction to whatever comes at me. Right. Other people, other ideas, other events. And then I'm always in reaction to the event instead of bringing something into the world. I'm basically just fiddling with the world as it is.
Yeah. And I've heard just recently that's why it's called responsibility instead of reactability. It's our responsibility to direct our awareness. Yeah. And that's our responsibility to direct our awareness and have basically discipline is what you're talking about, correct?
Well, the discipline is in staying home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the discipline, right? That has to be done deliberately. And everything else is automatic from there, because then it's easy. When I'm fully present and I don't budge from staying present.
Yeah.
Then I can address everything that comes at me from a place of presence, not from a place of reaction.
Right.
And then I can actually influence situations and make them better, better in terms of closer to life.
So so how would you say that, like, say you were a part of a situation, how could someone make a situation better by using their awareness or their intention? Like,
well, I'll give you an example.
Here's a good question for you. You used your attention and awareness to create Udo's oil.
Right.
So how did that manifest? Like, how did that process come about? Because it's directly connected kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, and actually it was flax oil first. So what happened is 1980, I got poisoned by pesticides. And it was because my marriage broke up and I wasn't clear about what I'm clear about that we're talking about now at that time.
Yeah.
And so my marriage broke down and I was very upset. And I basically wanted to kill something. So I got the opportunity to get a job as a pesticide sprayer. And I took the job.
Yeah.
Right? Pesticide sprayers kill things. I got to do that, right?
Oh yeah.
I was really good at it. But I was really careless. because I was upset.
Yeah.
I wasn't in love with my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I was careless.
Right. I love,
Like
wait, can I just say something? I love how you're taking responsibility, because I think that's a good part of healing, is that you're taking responsibility for where you ended up. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I was careless. I walked barefoot over the lawns. I sprayed till the skin peeled off my feet, the bottom of my feet. Then I took rubber boots, but I was really careless and I did it in a bathing suit because it was a summer job and the wind would drift a spray on my back. And 3 years, I got poisoned by pesticides. Predictable outcome.
Yeah.
And then I went to the doctor, said, "What do you have for pesticide poisoning?" She said, "Nothing." And that's when the penny really dropped for me. Okay, it's my responsibility. Health is my responsibility. So what do I do? Well, I had the background. So I went into the journals and read everything I could about health and nutrition, disease and nutrition.
Yeah.
The idea is this: the body's made out of food, water, air, and light.
Yeah.
That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else was ever needed in nature to make bodies. So I was thinking about food. I wasn't thinking about water and air, but food. So I said, okay, well, I also knew that every year, 98% of the atoms in your body are removed and replaced.
Yeah.
You don't even notice. I'm talking about when you're healthy too.
Right.
But it's the reason why healing is possible. Because if it wasn't a continually rebuilt construction site,
yeah,
then you wouldn't have to eat once you grew up, and you couldn't heal if you didn't eat. The reason you eat is because you got to keep replacing your body parts, body atoms, body molecules, right?
Right.
So I knew that. So my thought was, well, if something goes wrong with the body, well, number one, you got to stop eating the poison, spraying the pesticides, right?
Right. And
number two, you raise the standard of nutrition.
Yeah.
Which means what? More whole food, more plant-based, less cooking, less processing. And I was eating quite a lot of raw vegetables.
Okay.
Right. And the idea is, if you raise your standard for the building blocks of your body, then within 1 year you can have rebuilt your body to a higher standard just by making that change here.
Yeah. Right.
So that's what I started doing. And as I was reading, I found out how much damage is done to oils when they're being made by industry, and then how much more damage is done to them when we use them for frying.
Yeah.
And realized that and then omega-3s were established as essential nutrients the year after I got poisoned, 1981. And omega-3s are the most sensitive of our nutrients. They are sensitive to damage by light, by oxygen, and by heat.
Right.
They should get the most care of any of the foods we take care of.
Right.
And we give them the least care. We throw them in the frying pan and turn them into smoke. And smoke, you've changed the molecules.
Yes.
And it changed from something natural that life knows how to process in the body.
Yeah.
There's something unnatural that never existed in nature, for which life never made a breakdown program.
Right.
So I said, well, I can't get healthy on oils like that. We should make them with health in mind.
Yeah.
It was just like an insight. Yeah, we should make them with health in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to do it.
That was the
so
seed.
I developed a method for making oils with health in mind. It required protecting them from light, from oxygen, and from heat.
Yeah.
From the time they're closed in the seed, where they're protected. Nature's packaging is very good.
Yeah.
Through the pressing, the filtering, the settling, the filling, till they're in a brown glass bottle, in a box, in the fridge. No light, oxygen, heat should be able to contact the oil. And so I built that system. And then out of that came flaxseed oil. Flaxseed oil is now a household word.
Yeah.
And I became omega-6 deficient on flaxseed oil because it's actually quite unbalanced.
Yeah.
Has lots of omega-3s, but it's quite unbalanced. Right. So I became omega-6 deficient, and then I decided I want to make a blend that is better balanced than the flax oil. So that's how that came about. But if I hadn't been able to feel okay, even though I was physically sick,
right,
I would have probably just folded and died. I had cancer to look forward to.
So did the oil itself really cleanse you out, or did you do other aspects to help cleanse?
I did other things. It took 5 years after my poisoning before the oil was on the market. But I did fasting, and I did lots of water and lots of raw foods, and I started taking antioxidants. And
how long would you fast for?
Longest fast I did was 14 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So
water only?
Yeah, that was water only.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. You begin to see a theme when I interview all these healers and all the studies I've done, and there's very few basic things what you're talking about. It does come back to basics. It's food, water, air, light. I love how you put it that way. And this is what we're trying to convey to people here.
Right. Even though it's completely common sense.
Right.
And a monkey could figure it out.
Yes.
We have been so misled and so miseducated.
Right.
And so have so had experts imposed on us.
Right.
That we've forgotten we just need to look around in nature. There isn't a thing that, there's not a disease that was ever caused by deficiency of any pharmaceutical drug.
Right.
That should be a sign of something.
Yep.
Right. But when when you live in a civilized arena, and then, you have language, and then you have people who have more influence than other people, and then they tell you their story, and their story has an agenda that serves them, but not necessarily you.
Right.
Then you end up in the kind of situation where we've ended up in the world. Right.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Almost all of my problems I can trace back to medical intervention.
Yeah.
And I've been poisoned by antibiotics and medication, and just because I was unconscious, I was just brought up to think like, oh, I thought they were helping us out.
Yeah. And pesticides and synthetic chemicals and industrial chemicals and
So basically you created the mix of the three and the omegas 3, 6, and 9, correct?
Yeah.
And so it's a balance, and that is a better ratio for our nutritional intake.
Yeah, better than flax. Flax has 4 times more omega-3 than omega-6. That's too high.
Gotcha.
Then it crowds out the omega-6s, and then you become omega-6 deficient. That happened to me. I got dry eyes, skipped heartbeats, arthritis-like pain in finger joints, and thin, papery skin. Those are classic omega-6 deficiency symptoms. I fixed them by eating sunflower seeds because they have a lot of omega-6 and no omega-3. So it brought the balance back. But then I said, you know what? I'm trying to help people. Because I got, when I found out about omega-3s and making oils with health in mind, I got so inspired. I said, oh man, I didn't say man, I said a little 4-letter word. Oh man, we could help so many people. Yeah. Just by bringing them back, because 99% of the population doesn't get enough omega-3s.
Yeah.
And almost everybody eats oils damaged by processing.
Yeah.
And that damage increases inflammation, and inflammation is behind a lot of problems.
Right.
And so, that was my inspiration. Oh my God, we could help so many people. And then flax oil made me omega-6 deficient. I think I need to change the formula here, because I'm trying to help people.
Right.
And I don't want to help people with something where they can actually get it wrong. That'll only happen if you use flax as your only source of fat in the diet. And I did that experiment on myself because I wanted to know if it was sustainable.
Amazing. So the gift that you gave the world came from your own pain and kind of suffering, right?
Guess what?
It was necessary, right?
Guess what? That's where most of our best learning comes from, the mistakes we make.
Yeah.
Same with what I talk about relationships. I learned from my failed marriage. What I talk about peace and war comes from the war I was born in. And that's because when you make mistakes, or you're in dire circumstances,
Yeah.
there's something there for you to learn.
Yeah.
And you can never learn less. And I learn more from the mistakes I made because they rub my nose in the need to learn.
Yeah.
Than I learn from situations that are comfortable for me, that are easy for me.
Yeah. Now I have a question for you. We touched a little bit upon freedom.
Yeah.
And that's one of my main like core values is like freedom, the true freedom in the sense that you were talking about before. Mm-hmm. Coming from an area that was taken over by communism, you had to flee.
Yeah.
Where are you standing with the imposed medical kind of tyrannical methods of forcing people to partake in medicine and vaccines and stuff like that? Like, where do you think that lies in healthcare, and like where does the boundaries for you?
Well, I would let me change it a little bit, because when you talk about tyrannical, the tyranny we live under,
yes,
is based on lies.
Right.
The truth will make you free. Yeah, you've heard that, right?
Oh yeah.
You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free.
Right.
Well, the part that you don't hear is, and lies will enslave you.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that? Because again, you think about it, you say, well, why is it? Well, because lying is a form of dictatorship, mm-hmm. or tyranny, as you call it.
Right.
Because it takes away your freedom to choose.
Right.
So when you get bad information,
mm-hmm.
you lose your choice.
Yes.
So when people lie to you in advertising, and it's very, very common in every area of endeavor.
Right.
And people lie for two reasons. One is to avoid pain.
Right.
And the other one is to gain advantage without effort.
Yeah.
Right. So, and so they lie to you, you lose your choice. And with your loss of choice, you lose your freedom.
Yeah.
You can't make good choices on inaccurate information.
Yeah.
And that's very, 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 very widespread. So the question you have to ask about vaccination, I know it's a big issue.
Yeah.
What exactly happens biologically in a vaccination?
Yeah.
And the theory of how vaccinations work is actually brilliant, in my opinion.
Right.
What is not so brilliant is how the vaccines are made. When they put mercury in it as a preservative instead of freezing the vaccine, let's say, or keeping it cool, or finding a healthier way to keep the vaccine pure.
Right.
That's an issue that has to be addressed. Now, they used to put it on the label, and then the word got out. Thimerosal is 51% mercury. Mm-hmm. Then they said, well, we'll take it out. But then now you don't, it's confusing, because what's one of the things you can do in food industry is, if you call something a processing aid,
right,
you don't have to put it on the label.
Yeah. So
now what they've done, some of them have taken them out, maybe. You have to find out, because they'll say it even when they don't sometimes.
Right.
It's just part of the part of the smoke and mirrors in advertising.
Yeah.
But some people have put it back in, or never took it out, but just changed the designation from antimicrobial, which they have to put on the label, to processing aid, which they don't have to put on the label.
Yeah.
And you may be getting the same stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess where is the integrity is my question.
Yeah.
And the integrity comes from, if I feel whole, I don't need more stuff.
Yeah.
When I don't need more stuff, I can talk straight and walk straight.
Yeah.
But when you think that $50 million is not enough, you have got to have 70 million. And this is like, you've decided that that's how it is for you.
Yep.
Then you're going to lie. You're going to do whatever it takes to get those extra 20 million. Yeah. And you'll still be discontent.
Right.
Because contentment is an inside job. It doesn't come from external success.
Yes. Right?
Not the real. I mean, you get, external success gives you 3 days where you say, yay, I did it.
Yep.
And then this emptiness, this restlessness is still there.
Yeah.
Because there's only a short-term fix on the outside.
Yeah.
Long-term fix is always on the inside for human beings,
right.
on the inside. So I'm in terms of freedom, you should have freedom of choice, but you can't, but then that requires education.
Yeah.
And the people who want to tyrannize you or dictate to you don't like education that much.
Yes.
And democracy only works in educated populations.
Right.
And we are heading towards tyranny in many countries, because there will always be, and there has always been, a conflict between the people who want freedom and the people who want control.
Yeah.
Right? But that's all an external game.
Yep.
Internally, freedom is not affected by that.
Yes.
The feeling free, you can feel free in jail.
Right.
You can feel free in jail.
Yeah.
Because it's about acceptance.
Right.
And it's not about external limitations. It's about, and internally, if you go deep enough, there are no limitations.
Wow. Now, I know I respect your time, so I want to make sure we're.
Oh, I don't care. I'll spend the rest of the day here. I have to go vote today.
I could get lost. I didn't even realize what time it was, but speaking to you is fascinating because I mean, really, you have just like an unbelievable amount of experience. And so the people that are listening to this, really, like, this is a joy because of the experiences that you've been through, the health challenges that you've been through, the things that you've actually taken your health challenges and created something to therefore help the rest of the world, essentially. So that's taking real action. Instead of some people get sick and they target the pesticide company, right? Which is what a lot of people do. You actually took.
Well, that's a good one. I used to complain because the war ended when I was 3. I was still bitching about it when I was 27. And I pretty much spent the first 30 years of my life bitching about everything.
I was the same way.
And one day my sister took me aside, and I was pretty vocal about it.
Yeah.
And I was just smart enough so that whenever somebody came up with anything, it would take me like 10 seconds to figure out where the glitch was.
Yeah.
And I would then focus on where the limit was, and here's why this is not a permanent solution. Right? Yep. I was very vocal about it. So I'm at my sister's place, and she's got a bunch of guests, and off I go. I can't remember what it was, but off I go. And finally she took me aside. She says, Udo, she says, we agree with what you're saying, but the problem with you is that you're just complaining about it and you're not doing anything to make it better. Oh, did that rock my world? That totally rocked my world. And then if she hadn't said that, I probably would not have made oil. And I probably would have bitched about, I probably would have bitched about it.
That's a great point, because a lot of times when people are sick, they tend to focus on the problem. Just like you're talking about in healthcare, we focus on disease rather than focusing on the solution. And what I always try to tell people who are getting healthy is really try to focus on the solution. So before
let me say one more thing. When a person complains, think about it. This is cool. Everybody complains, right? We complain all the time. When a person complains, all that means is they know that things could be better, but they're not willing to make the effort to make them better. They want somebody else to do it for them.
Right.
That's like calling mom, but mama ain't coming back. Right?
Yep.
And then it's the government, they should do something about it. No. You should do something about it.
Right.
If you see something can be changed, change it.
Yep.
Right. You're the president. You're the prime minister of your little sphere. You're sovereign in your little sphere of influence.
Yes.
You can create your world, your little world that you live in, where you have influence. You can create that world. Yeah. Bitching is not the way to create that world.
Right.
But actually getting to a point where you see what's possible and then living into what's possible.
Yeah.
That will change it.
Amazing.
And there's about 300 million people in the United States who should do that, and 36 million people in Canada who should do that. You know, that's not should, who could do that.
Right.
Because it's possible, because it's within us.
Yes.
But that means we need to be more present. And out of that more deeper presence comes more light responsibility.
Yeah.
Because responsibility is not heavy when you feel light.
Right. Beautiful.
And it's
beautiful.
then it's your joy to help. You know, when I feel taken care of, I just want to help.
Yep. Service.
In every way I can, for as many people as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. And I actually recommend service work as one of the ways to help people heal.
You bet.
Right.
You bet. Everybody needs to plant 1,000 trees.
Yeah.
Every man, woman, and child right now. Then we'll be back to the 10 trillion trees we had 10,000 years ago.
Yes.
We knocked down 75% of them.
Wow. I didn't know it was that much. Now, before we end here, what's the last thing, based on your experience with everything that you've been through, what are the top 1, 2, 3 things that people can do right now to help their health, to make sure that they're moving in the right direction, to turn on those self-healing mechanisms that we have naturally?
Yeah. Okay. The first thing I would say is tell yourself, I am already perfectly healthy in the core of my being. Even if your body is sick, you know, you don't want to say, no, I don't have a cut when you have a cut, right? Yeah. But something in you, the foundation out of which your health is rebuilt, is already healthy. Your model for health is awareness, life, and inspiration. Those exist within you. Go there. That's number 2. Number 1, know that it's there. Number 2, go there. Yes. And then number 3, do whatever needs to be done from a place of wholeness, from a place of not being afraid and not being pushed and not being pulled and not following everybody's advice, but just from a place of wholeness within yourself. And then you can sort everything out. Everything else will fall into place. It becomes a lot easier then. If you don't do that, the chance of you getting healthy are already severely limited.
Yes.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's the most neglected part in human beings. Right. Those 3 inner parts, because we're always looking out and doing stuff on the outside. Yeah. And then moving the problems around under the carpet. You know, it's from one place under the carpet to another place under the carpet.
There's still dirt.
We're never digging it out and putting it in the garbage, right?
Right. Exactly.
So
cool.
So
that's beautiful. Well put. And so we're at the end of the hour. This has been a beautiful talk. Like I said, I can sit here and talk to you all day. Is there any last words that you'd like to say, or anything that you'd like to share with the audience about how they can get in touch with you, or how they can buy your oil, or whatever it might be?
Yeah. Yes. The book that's the overview of this and all the other stuff that we haven't talked about is called The Book on Total Sexy Health, the 8 Key Parts Designed by Nature. And why is that? Because everything affects health. So if you want to be really healthy, you got to give everything its due. How you think, how you feel, those 3 parts we talked about, who you hang out with, what your environment is like, what the big picture is for you. So those are the 8 parts. If you're interested in that, get it. It's on Amazon and Kindle. You can also get it off my website. My website is theudo.com or udoerasmus.com. And the oil is you find it in a brown glass bottle, in a box, in the fridge, in the supplement section, in health food stores.
Beautiful.
And in different countries. We're in about 40 countries, and some of the chemists have it, and some of the pharmacies carry it in different countries. But in North America, mostly health food stores.
Amazing.
And they're on Amazon. It's on Amazon as well.
Amazon as well. Yeah, a lot of people nowadays just click a button.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that simple. Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure, Udo, and I appreciate it. So, Udo Erasmus, thank you for joining us on the Healing Mastery Summit. It's been awesome. And I hope the listeners got a lot out of his experience and his own self-healing journey. So thanks again, Udo. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Ian. Thank you.
All right.